Good morning. Let's move on into the main service. Proverbs begin today. We're looking at Proverbs, making our way through Proverbs. We're in chapter 14. And 15 through 21. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15 through 21. Let me find it over here. Bilganek etchi dish khado the neck etchi. The end up being not the Proverbs 14, verse 15 through 21. The Inila. The simple believes every word, but the prudent considers well his steps. A wise man fears and departs from evil, but a fool rages and is self-confident. A quick-tempered man acts foolishly, and a man of wicked intentions is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil will bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor man is hated even by his own neighbor, but the rich has many friends. He who despises his neighbor sins, but he who has mercy on the poor, happy is he. The neck at you. The nebich and nahui nag or be. Am I right? No, I'm at 15. I started to read and it didn't sound right. The neto khayani esat khoyot na. The nehuyani a yikashko a large des in the nehuyani ado yes zitko do yashkoni Yitz'aga hashi. The neto achaliani eit bizaka nas tachinago akwige asht nzim. The net ado. The net ato. Oh, the net ado what the na bahachihi. Ado ajon neeke ani. Ado the neto yashkogo. Nahaj ai hak hoteni. The neto tahwayani do hoshkash. Neshitiost Ishina. shidioch, ni shifwidioch, ni hish dayoch e. De ne da huyani ich hojon ich hozin ne shidayoch e kwa ye ich dan ne. De ne do ya ashoni de ne ya adat ehi bitchen. Ya bitchen ya adat indo. Ado de ne do ya adashoni de ne. Quickie adat bich ya adat is tiniki ya antajit into ba hojo ba yilke da hat gilke hat ini nte ba Badorne, hishine. Oh, Badorne. There's an emphasis. Badorne. De ne at ini ebik isot o achayui. De ne berke hat ini jijo chai at dich ne jilzi. De ne ba hajo ba'i ba jijo ba'i khojo. The simple is neither the naive. It refers to the simple. Ato hajo hasekesi, meaning the very young. Ato hajo na in tiniki the naive. There's children that make rash decisions. And they fall into that category. The simple. The ones that don't think about things before they do it. The naive believes everything. The one that hasn't matured. The psychologists, they tell us, I believe, that a person's mental development doesn't happen until after about 20, some people, most people. Psychologists, they take it because they haven't thought it through. They haven't had enough experiences to lay alongside. So they believe everything. But the sensible man, Hajoy Yikinta Kesigi Hajo Babytria Tigi Yansa Kesko Nikago Estane Nishnahadlin Estanj Nishnahadlin go Nika Nakahigi. That type of person, a sensible man, that shrewdness, cunning is able to figure things out. Not at all. Considers, he takes into account, he tries to understand his next steps, his next thing to do. Benato nehigi hajoy yinsech kestoy nechkato Ya konik iti hotel beina nicht jonila the nehuyani. He separates in Proverbs the what he calls the naive or the foolish, and then the wise. The huyani. Do the halyani. He separates that for us. So it's good to live our lives being aware of our surroundings. Though it would be good, it would be to our benefit if we think things through and truly understand even our behavior. Verse 16, a wise man is cautious and turns away from evil. That word wise man, it means the skillfully wise. Is cautious. In the Hebrew, that word that got translated cautious, it means to have reverence or to be in awe. De yin bit Allah de ilingua Allah de ilingua yedisingo bitch it os zitako. See, being cautious of his own conduct before God. Akut ego be not nicht he becomes aware of things that would offend God. He turns aside from it. That word turns away from evil. It means to depart from, to get away from things that God does not approve of. Baby, so a lot of times we got to be wise in the things of God, to be aware of things that God approves of and what is pleasing in God's sight. Once we begin to understand that, we need to watch our lives so that we steer away from things that would not be pleasing to God. God's Word. That's the reason we have God's Word, so that we can understand things that God approves of, the things that God likes for us to do. And then there's things in here that God says, I don't like this. So, it's almost limitless. So a prudent man, a wise man, is cautious. And he turns away from things that offend God. But a fool is arrogant and careless. That word arrogant. Actually, the word that got translated arrogant, it means anger or full of anger. Oh, changes ango. Oh, ida be hanat zehen benina withnaho chiko. Oh, withnaho chiko. He says that's arrogance in the sight of God. Digin benayagin. Shilan huin zinigi ebenina eta hazot natle. Shilan shinne echt egonet eya ashnito lechtenizimgo ebenina achanitjes ago chwito achwode. But a fool is arrogant, short, gets angry real quick, gets offended real quick. And careless, Neela. That word careless, it means to be confident or to feel secure. There's confidence, false confidence. I like the way the New King James Version puts it. It says, a wise man fears and departs from evil, but a fool rages and is self-confident. A lot of people lead lives like that. Don't be that way. Learn to live according to what pleases God. Verse 17, a quick-tempered man acts foolishly. You know, these are things that we need to consider those. And to put those aside and begin to think things through. A man of evil devices is hated, Nila. Oba ikotahwe ashkot Nila. Ede de nekot ego hinani khalit ego de ne kinadish lichtanzen go ed abin lego khalit out de ne kinadish lichtanzen go yeho ahli jo ya akot ego de ne bin de go da ede yen sa kesi de ne da jo khado lechonina. There's certain people in our communities, all they can think of is how to hurt the next person. Da bichtse no doch nicht. Jo wat echt die in zadi and it does come. Verse 18, the naive inherit foolishness. Dohajo iwajich ako Eho do bisdil cargo o bequisdil jrako. Equisdor aske e habik nahol inko obe equisdil zratgo. You inherit foolishness, Nila. Ya do achaya bistokah hadadot aljanis. That word inherits zinigi, to take possession of. Huitolish. Like receiving an inheritance, you receive that foolishness, Nila. A man of evil devices is okay. But the sensible are crowned with knowledge. Be'al itjindin dech kako hazoye kida distingon dadel kako be'al itjindin dech kagi ya crowned with knowledge. That word crowned, it means to be surrounded or enclosed with knowledge. So you guys just called it crown last weekend. That word crown, to be crowned with knowledge, it means to be surrounded with knowledge, to be enclosed with knowledge. Rockets, they're enclosed, that they're in a capsule. Their environment is controlled. Where there is no environment, they're encapsulated, they're enclosed with that. It can encapsulate you, it can surround you, it can enclose you. Wow, if we could see that. If we could catch that, it would be good. Verse 19, the evil will bow down before the good. The evil, the wicked, will bow down. It means to prostrate or to crouch or be humbled before the good. That word good, from the Hebrew, it means to be pleasant or agreeable. And the wicked at the gates of the righteous. God, the ad See, God will do that. When God works in a person's life and He raises them up and exalts them. See, that's God's work. His righteous ones. Elam. It's a spiritual thing. Verse 20, the poor is hated even by his neighbor. den get den don the ta o letigi Ida is hada don chi di beta deni bis keda hat ini benannt ich keda hat ini das ada do nicht do leicht janila And it's so true, Shania. Ado bechanazo chido bechaz goshi ni oshi ni chacho ba ye. Cho enji de son zo ka go her neighbor which najdi lo she you with that. Una so da so khatsada do ne ko da ze hui do. But those who love the rich are many. Dene atini dene aida ta o lehi o khayuta yo lehi yo o dene na tonila. Khala bishat le oshi yo bohanetle tonila. And it's so true. Ani kot Kheda yo at inwa bishat le o yo bohadenena. They have many friends. Yilchta hon ini do khayui. Do opa bits ada dorneta. Yo bitadenena. Verse 21. He who despises his neighbor sins. Cheshi bi rako ke hatini yijo chago. That word despises, niniki, it means to have contempt for, to disdain or to scorn. Doch was ein Lego ban sitze kesko. We got one kept ini. Doch was ein Lego ban sitze kesko. It is niet easy, it echt How does it is all z, it is all z. Let's see how the nav puts it. The nav bilkeh jitini jijoshai atdish nijil z. That word sins, ninigi, that's where it's very similar to the Greek word hamartia. Hamartia sad in the Greek inigi. It brings out the idea of an archer. It is kagi. And it means to miss the mark. Khas zohan. Khabik ehapod yayen. Nji si ko olia. It is all z. That's sin as far as God is concerned. Digende go khala nan zin go khay kehna hol ihe o bi ga kon injil iho do yene tege bi eko ejne go o bit ach ejo liko. When God tells us put out ili put ego ne ina ni go jo ya digende go Belkehat ini a yo in nejono na nihintin. Oko ojo schago. In God's sight, it is just ziko has jalila. Obi rahagone kot echot shnene habik ehoslayen target ha because do think in ye habik ehoslayen obi rahagone khachika. He sees it that way. That word despises, it means to have contempt or disdain for. Ebony na, the neto do, luda easy. Do chadas kita. Do chata liada. It's because they don't value their neighbor. Bichkehat ini bichnelin do lehien do bichnlingo ena yich bahaki etani. Yini na kita yodi. See that those are things that the inbizade or the net one on hingo. Bichkehat ini ayoi nechoni. Why? To keep us from sinning. But happy is he who is gracious to the poor. That word happy, the Hebrew word that got translated happy, it's blessed. Denne o bikine gona dehi ya jo bachi which ndawi na we on dan daden legi do yit do yite rahagi the poor yishnigi. It's the Hebrew word that got translated poor. It means humble, the meek, the needy, or the afflicted. Ede yajo baigi big lead on the Janina. Ede yin od adenadnish. That's where God works. He sees our lives. He sees our attitude. Init ede. Heshi ba jo ba go bikini kalgo. Ba ahni zinko, ba jini bako, ba jisi bako, di yin yo in, and he's the one that's gonna bless. Yina tian, do yahashi pastor yabantina, do ya. Dibyanan dragid eya bantid diyin binayag int. You're living under God's sight. Diyin binayag int. Ni diyin la. Kot en snigon gina bat snigon gina bat go. He'll bless that. Diyin bizarre, kono ya. So learn to be gracious, learn to be merciful, learn to be compassionate for the needy. Big echo on Nishko, Bish on Niko, big echo on Nishko, Bideko, he blesses that. See, that's the outcome of having God's blessing in our life. It brings joy. Let's learn to live that way. Live in ways that please God. So that was our service for today.